what is the best case, worst case scenario for each team this World Cup? Because we need to be honest, the Netherlands are not entering this tournament with a realistic chance of winning. Every team has their own rage, and from this, it helps us understand what a good tournament for each team might look like, also what a bad one might be. So we've looked at every single team to look at their highs and also their low. We are including existing injuries, but we're not factoring in the kind of catastrophic injury luck that Sri Lanka and England had in their recent T20 World Cup campaigns. Now, obviously, what we are saying here is not will happen to your team. I can't factor in the amount of banana skins that will happen to South Africa, or how Australia's luck will magically come together because it's a World Cup event. But with all we know, we can make a pretty good guess about how good a tournament your team will have if everything goes right, and the actual results that they may get in the dystopian world that you and your team live in. This video is brought to you by Wicket Cricket Manager. Afghanistan's best case is probably 3 wins. Let's say they maximize their returns in the middle overs with bat and ball, which is pretty much what they're good at, but they're still not that great at the beginning or end. Their batting cannot win games at their own, but they win those 3 matches at Lucknow and Chepot courtesy of their incredible spin attack. What I really like about this best case scenario is a 3-win Afghan team does play absolute havoc with this tournament. Worst case for them is 1 win. And remember, they didn't actually win a game last time. But considering the conditions are so much better suited to them, I would say that they should at least win a single game. But if their batting continues to fail miserably, Rashid Khan does not have a great tournament, and they fall apart a little bit in their best phase with the ball, they probably will only win 1 game, which would be the one against the Dutch in Lucknow. Bangladesh's best case is winning 4 games. The great Najmal Shanto continues his excellent form. Their opening isn't as horrendous as it has been. The middle order scores enough runs to put par totals on, which allows them to compete against the mid-table teams. The all-rounders, Shakib and Mahdi Hassan, perform very well, and if this happens, they are on the verge of a semi-final. I'm just not sure that anything can happen to slip them in there. Their worst case is a single win. Their batters simply do not score quick enough, and their bowlers don't take enough wickets to overcome that. I can't see a world where they don't defeat the Netherlands, but even Sri Lanka and Afghanistan with their solid bowling attacks might be too much for them.
I have now just heard that Tamim Iqbal is also out of the World Cup. Actually, let me take these off, I look stupid. I have now heard that Tamim Iqbal is also out of the World Cup. I'm not sure that actually changes my height. Excuse me, I'm doing a video, Clementine. I'm not sure if that changes the high-low situation that I've done. I don't think it really does at all, although it's certainly not a plus. Clementine, can I finish this video about Tamim Iqbal? Okay. Thank you.
Have you ever wondered how I watch so much cricket? I use VPNs to log into accounts from all around the world. But because before, even simple things like when something exciting would happen in a match, I would rush over to social media, and when I got there, the clips would say something along the lines of, "This video is not available in your area." In fact, most of the coolest cricket stuff in the world at the moment is geo-blocked because some random board didn't sign a deal where you happen to live. If you're a hardcore cricket nerd, the only way is to have a VPN, and we suggest Surfshark. They will give you the speed of your favorite quick bowler. They're as inventive as a T20 batter after a bunch of dot balls, and they're as secure as a specialist wicketkeeper with the softest hands in the world. And guess what? The kind folks at Surfshark are going to give you a deal. Enter the promo code Kimber for an extra 3 months free at surfshark.deals/Kimber. There are probably other things that Surfshark can help you with, like data and identity theft and traceability and intrusive advertising. But for us, it is our best weapon against the evil cricket geo-block. Go to Surfshark and type my name in KIMBER and get 3 months free today. I think Sri Lanka's best case is 5 wins, which is right on the verge of a semi-final depending on net run rate. Let's imagine Kusal Perera plays his shots at the start, while Nasanka plays the anchor role. Got Kusal Mendes, Samu Wickrama, and Asalanka consistently scoring runs in the middle, and hopefully finally the skipper will find some of that form and hit some sixes again. But even with all that, it's still only a par batting lineup. So their bowling would need to take pretty much 10 wickets in 5 occasions, and maybe even 6 to get this kind of record. And that might sound far-fetched, but the spin trio of Hasaranga, Tikshana and Walagi looks incredible, while they also have decent seam options in Shamira, Patharana and Kumara. Of course, the worst case scenario is 2 wins, because their batting just doesn't hold up against any team apart from the Netherlands or Afghanistan. Essentially, they would fail to give their bowlers anything substantial to work with. Or their bowlers do well, but they only take 6 to 7 wickets a game, and the other teams can still score on them. And as it currently stands, Hasaranga is not 100% fit. If that remains, 2 wins is even more likely. Just a quick addition here, because we recorded this, of course, a couple of days ago, and at that stage we thought that Hasaranga would be fit. Hasaranga is no longer in the squad for Sri Lanka, and Kimber as well. Kimber, while he's been fantastic, I think they can cover. There just isn't many players in the entire world like him. So I'm downgrading them. Their best case scenario just got worse, if you understand what I mean. 4 wins. The Netherlands' best case scenario is 2 wins. Their new bowlers, Van Beek, Klein and Van Meekeren, take a bunch of early wickets against a team that doesn't have a strong middle order, and then they go on to restrict them and chase down that total. Of course, for that to work, they really do need their middle order to step up a little bit. But they do have experience in Van der Merwe and Ackerman, while Bas de Leede continues his ascension. Also, we have to factor in here that Max O'Dowd would carry the top order in another World Cup, because that is what Max O'Dowd does. The worst case is 0 wins. They just aren't good enough to win against any of these teams in Asian conditions. No team is set up worse for this tournament in terms of spin bowling, and I mean batting against it or bowling it. However, they might still end up giving scares to some big opponents, much like Afghanistan did in 2019. Pakistan's best case is the final. Fakhar Zaman finds form at the start of the World Cup. Imam plays a little bit quicker and continues to score. Babar Azam does justice to his tag of the ICC's #1 ranking. Mohammad Rizwan scores runs consistently in the middle overs. Iftikhar and Shadib hit out at the death. Then if Shaheen Afridi can step up and overcome the loss of Naseem Shah, Haris Rauf and Hassan Ali do various things in the middle overs and the death, there's certainly a lot there. I still think they're going to have to find a way for Shadab Khan to actually take some wickets in the middle, or Hassan Ali is going to have to turn the clock back 7 years to 2017. But the worst case is 4 wins. Essentially, this would mean they have been batting too slow and their bowlers don't take enough wickets in the middle. Naseem's injury and the lack of a strike spin bowler means that they just struggle to defend par totals against the best side. And it might end up being a repeat of the 29 campaign, where they're close to the semi-finals, but they just miss out. India's best case scenario is winning the tournament. They finally break their 12-year ICC trophy hoodoo by just freeing themselves from the defensive approach that led to their downfall in so many of those knockout tournaments over the last few years. Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill continue to attack in the power play and kick on a little bit more from there. Virat Kohli obviously holds the lineup together. Shreyas Iyer comes in to attack the spinners, and KL Rahul and Hardik Pandya mold their games according to the match situation. And in this situation, you'd also assume Jadeja is making some runs again. With the new ball, Jasprit Bumrah, Mohammad Siraj absolutely destroy people, and if they want, Mohammad Shami as well. Kuldeep Yadav continues the wickets ticking over in the middle, while Pandya and Jadeja keep things tight. And then Bumrah comes back at the death, and good luck to anyone trying to score from him. But the worst case is a semi-final exit. India still end up making the semi-final simply because they have so many high-quality players and they're on home soil. However, they go back to their defensive approach, especially as the knockout games come about. They lose a couple of early wickets from a good strike bowler in the opposition. They start to bat too slow, end up with below par totals. Or they don't have a really good plan B for when the opposition really comes hard at them with the bat. Australia's best case is also winning the tournament. David Warner and Mitch Marsh played the same attacking brand at the top. Smith and Marnus fixed their middle order problems by not losing too many wickets. Green, Maxwell, Carey, Stoinis, whoever you want to throw in there, just go nuts at everything in the death. Plus they have some hitting from Cummins and Stark if they need it as well. Then when they get the ball, Stark, Cummins and Hazelwood start off very well all the way through. Adam Zampa proves it wasn't a fluke that he was one of the best ODI spinners in the world during this cycle. And because their frontline 4 bowlers are going so well, then perhaps what they also do is they just steal a bunch of overs out of Maxwell and Cam Green. Worst case is they go out in the semi-finals. Again, much like India, I think they just have too much all-round quality to actually not make the top 4. However, Travis Head's absence does change things a little bit there. If Smith and Marnus actually chew up a lot of balls, that could cause some problems further on, and Maxwell is not 100% at his best at the moment. Also, them 3 main seamers don't actually play a lot of ODI cricket, and maybe they're not as suited to playing in one-day matches inside of India, and Zampa against the best players of spin in the world could also get hit. One of the biggest issues is their 5th bowlers could get hammered if they go in with a plan of using the part-timers. And a bit like India, while they have been a lot more attacking recently, what's going to happen in a knockout match? We know that England will continue to go, but we have seen Australia go into their shell when they lose early wickets. The best case scenario for England is that they win the tournament. Johnny Bairstow scores a truckload of runs at a very nice strike rate, and Dawood Malan scores more runs than Jason Roy, but obviously a lot slower. Joe Root finds his happy place of facing a lot of spin in the middle overs of a one-dayer and makes let's say 500 runs. Ben Stokes knocks the ball around for a while until he goes nuts. And Josh Butler and Liam Livingstone crush at the death. And because of their batting depth, let's say Chris Woakes batting at number 9 in this situation, they can bat fearlessly all the way through. With the ball, it's obviously not as pretty, but because they're making more runs than everyone else, they don't need to be brilliant with the ball. But let's say Wokes takes wickets up top and one of their left arm seamers does well also. Adil Rashid finds the form he had in 2019, while Mark Wood finally replicates what Plunkett has been able to do consistently. Moeen Ali and Liam Livingstone don't get exposed. Sam Curran finds his death bowling form again like the previous World Cup. And I don't know, Jofra Archer could be fit as well. The worst case scenario is a semi-final exit. Their batting depth and variety mean they are still good enough to make it to the top 4, but their biggest fear in a knockout game is going to be their lack of quality spinners and their death bowling, like say Jofra Archer. We saw them lose to New Zealand in the World T20 because of death bowling. Also, the fact that Milan goes up the order means that Root has to find his form, because if he struggles, Butler and Livingston are going to have to bat against type and way too early again and again. The best case scenario for South Africa is the final. Temba Bavuma and Quinton de Kock maintain their good form at the top. They don't lose any early wickets, then RVD and Markram milk the spinners in the middle overs, while Klaasen continues his dangerous hitting, and then, I don't know, let's throw in David Miller there as well. With the ball, Rabada can take wickets in any particular phase, and let's hope that Marco Jansen finally works out how to take early wickets. The spin duo of Maharaj and Shamsi, both spinning in 2 different directions with 2 different skills, works perfectly in Asia, and Ngidi and Rabada come back to close the innings. That's certainly a good enough team for the final if everything works. Their worst case scenario is 4 wins, and the problem here is they could lose wickets. They're going up against the best bowling attacks in the world over and over again. Eventually, they are going to lose wickets. And no team is set up for this to happen, and it's hard to set up any batting order to actually overcome losing early wickets. But South Africa are not even trying to do that. Marco Jansen coming in to bat in the 20th over is a whole different ballgame. The other problem for them is if they don't take early wickets. Not all of their bowlers have been that consistent up top. If you're going to have 5 frontline bowlers in your team, you really need them to be a lot better, and at times the South African bowlers haven't been good enough. New Zealand's best case scenario is a semi-final. Devon Conway finishes amongst the top run scorers in the tournament using his experience from the IPL. Kane Williamson somehow overcomes an ACL tear in less than 6 months, which almost has never happened ever. But him and Daryl Mitchell combined means that the middle overs for New Zealand are very, very good. Glenn Phillips will be a little bit of the X factor here, and Tom Latham will come in if they're having a bit of a problem. Then you've got Trent Bolt and Matt Henry taking early wickets. In this situation, Ish Sodhi probably needs to take a few more middle over poles, while Mitch Santner is keeping things tight. And then either Tim Southee or Lockie Ferguson does something well all the way through the innings. They also have the advantage of having 3 fixtures, the Bangladesh, India and Australia games, in favourable conditions in Dharamshala. If they can somehow win 2 of those games and split the rest, they're in a very good chance of making the semi-finals. And they'll continue with their normal template of scoring par totals and taking new ball wickets. The problem is that may not hold up in the finals when the wickets won't give us much new ball assistance. The worst case is 4 wins. Will Young struggles with his first major one-day international assignment. Williamson comes back, but he's just not the player he should be because, he shouldn't have come back this early. This then creates a lot of pressure on Devon Conway. Latham bats slow, and Glenn Phillips doesn't usually give you a lot of runs. But I think their really big problem in this team is that if Santner gets hit or milked, they can't trust another spinner for more than 5 overs a game in this lineup as it currently stands. And Lockie Ferguson just does not look in form at all. So yeah, they'll still defeat the lower ranked sides comfortably, but the lack of explosive batting and quality spin bowling means that they have a mid to low table finish. So based on all of this, we have tiers that we can put these teams into. The top one is obviously pretty easy. These are the teams of which you would assume the winner of the tournament will come from. The next tier is teams who can make a real run for this tournament with a couple of breaks. Then you have New Zealand on their own, who perhaps can slide into a semi-final. And of course, once you're in a semi-final, you're a very big chance of making the final and winning the tournament. I would probably have Sri Lanka as 4A in this group. But everyone here is capable of beating the top teams, but probably not making the semi-finals. And then you have the Netherlands, who are obviously a step down in these conditions from the other side. South Africa are the best outsiders, and Afghanistan could be a magnificent spoiler. But the tournament is most likely going to be shared by the big 3 again.